So we started in the beginning working on our mindset and beliefs when it comes to working with information, when it comes to learning. Many of you did the format test or learning styles assessment. Some of you, not all yet. Also, we had a one-on-one where we talked through the format styles. And especially also Julia, I guess you had some interesting experiences also working with format and designing, for instance, a presentation. At this point, you also got connected with the format learning cycle assistant that helps you to understand format, to ask questions in direction of, I'm this learning style at the moment, what does this mean? How can I apply the other learning styles? But also this assistant might help you in, for instance, designing your own sessions and thinking through what are the 8 steps of a holistic learning cycle. Also in session 1, we worked on our pact. Something that supports you when you would like to implement something, to get into action, to take small steps, to design a short experiment and really implement this experiment day by day. Maybe if you forgot about your pact, then reconsider this assistant. Maybe create your own little next pact, how you would like to follow up from the course. This might be a really interesting small repetition to get into this thinking about short-term getting into action, step by step, day by day, little action instead of planning too big, too many goals. Their pact is really a nice instrument. And many of you also looked at their 12 favorite problems and discovered that this is super interesting as a filter mechanism for what information do you capture, what are main aspects of knowledge that are important for you. And I know, for instance, Peter, I guess you also had quite a connection with the 12 favorite problems. This is an interesting aspect, I guess, a lot for why learning styles, to really understand the purpose of information. Why do I work with information? A packed full first 2 weeks with quite some self-reflection insights, understanding why are you working with certain information in which way. Yeah. This was the foundation to then deep dive into building your knowledge system. Here we started with organize. So we looked at PARA as an actionability-based organization principle. There were quite some interesting movements. I remember, for instance, Jörn sharing his reconstructions in Circle about his vault. Quite a sophisticated approach that he takes now. Really interesting. And many others also at least got an irritation from thinking about Para versus their previous organization principles. So this is something to look at and really move it forward, evolve in this direction. Take it easy, step by step, but it's maybe an interesting handle how to start conquering information overwhelm right from the start. Then we looked at certain aspects of capture. How do you get information or already snippets of information in your system? What are the different entry points? How can you automate maybe part of this journey? How can you also have the filter, your 12 favorite problems, active before something enters your system? There was a lot in direction of capture to discover. We looked at certain tools like Raindrop, also the Kindle connection and stuff like this. Maybe you remember this is a rich set of how you can build better capture pipelines that makes it much easier to work with information inflow systems. Guided by, and I remember this session, the Obsidian setup session. This was demanding, I would say. So, but we got it up and running. Now you have your Obsidian setup locally and it works in a way for you that you can really work with this. And we also looked at Langdoc here a little deeper, got to know this tool, and I know that many of you use that now during the program in a way, and I'm also curious to see how, if you continue using this or not. And you got introduced to the second brain assistant, quite an interesting AI assistant that helps you, where you can ask about your para structure, get recommendations where you might put information, but also overall about capture, organize, distill, express from building a second brain. There's quite some knowledge in there, and it helps you to recap understand certain context deeper, ask your questions. This was also an interesting moment, and especially the para assistant seems to be quite interesting for people. Then we went on to the important part of how to distill information. Maybe you remember this progressive summarization where you work with highlights, then again, or bolding, then highlights, and then extracting these insights, writing it in your own words, and stuff like this. Quite a procedure where AI is also super interesting in between. It's not that easy to understand in the beginning, but once you get started, you can really see the benefits of extracting the core information that are important for you. And we introduced the building block assistant, something to look at to increase the quality of information for your future self. To say, if I look at my stuff in half a year from now, how can I make sure that I can work with this information super fast instead of trying to read it again, get into the details? No, the building block should be designed in a way that it's easily reusable, can connect to other stuff. And there the building block assistant was a little more unpolite. I remember Sebastian asking about this version of an AI assistant that's quite demanding also in its language to hold us accountable to change the building blocks. And from there, we went on to one of the most crucial aspects. And Peter, in our last session, we touched on this topic again, to express, to get into action, to really use your knowledge and information instead of capturing too much, not getting it out. Now convert it, start with the express in mind, and then backtrack what you actually really need to express. This was an interesting moment. And the book to action assistant and also the what wants to be expressed assistant, both should help you in actionability, getting it out, transforming your insights into something tangible for yourself, but also for others. And based on this, and also while exercising AI throughout all the sessions, we went to part 3, the NI enhanced system version. And here it became a little more edgy. We looked at what would it mean to work with an AI first mindset? So asking yourself, if I start with a topic, how can I include AI right from the start in my thinking, in moving it forward, instead of trying to solve all the stuff by myself? No, immediately think about AI involvement from the start. And based on this, we got deeper into AI assistants. There we looked at more sophisticated version, Dr. Throughput and Idea Explorer, that really explain you more about the AI assistants. What are they good for? What levels of AI assistants are existing? And you also built your own assistants during this phase. And maybe you already explored and built more of your own assistants. This was quite a crucial moment to leave the surface level of just prompting to really move it a little higher to establish AI as a thinking partner. And we looked at workflow support. What is super interesting when you work with your own workflows to understand, hey, I have currently this workflow implementation. Where are crucial points where I might ask AI to support me in my workflow? How can I decompose my workflow and find blocks to integrate AI and really move it in a direction of being more productive, delegating the boilerplate work, focusing on the real high value work? This was quite an interesting moment also on this one. Once we start to really apply and see these knowledge snippets as super input to then leverage higher order thinking that is possible now with AI, that changes the game. And I also experienced this day by day. So cool that you were able to connect to this and see also for yourself the value in thinking about building blocks and something you can provide to then work on a completely different level with information. Yeah.